Our Khawuleza event is a rapid fire session that everyone's been waiting for. It's an elevator pitch with a twist. Khawuleza means go quick in isiXhosa, and this is a fast-paced event where each presenter will go through their presentations in only 6 minutes. So hold on to your seats and listen. The presentations are timed, so there's no chance for going over time, and you'll know that your presentation ends when you hear the music. So to all the presenters, I ask you to come up one after the other, and good luck. Sarah Atmore, you're first.
Good afternoon, everybody. I must say I'm very excited to be here today to share my Khawuleza with you. The topic is building on purpose, and we will look at a case study of building ECD infrastructure in an informal settlement. There are many people here today who I've had the pleasure of working closely with, and they will know that I can send WhatsApp voice notes longer than this presentation will be. So in the spirit of Khawuleza, I will go quickly, and I ask that you do what you can to please keep up with me. Upgrading ECD infrastructure is something that I'm truly passionate about. And every child, regardless of where they grow up, deserves a safe, secure, and an inspiring environment. And building ECD centers in informal settlements needs to be done with both care and intention. This is St. Francis Bay. In the top left, you'll see the famous St. Francis Links Golf Estate. On the right-hand side, you can see the wealthy suburbs of St. Francis Bay. In the middle, we've got the industrial area, and that star at the bottom left is where we find Makulu's daycare. The first time we met Makulu, she came across as a bit grumpy and somewhat skeptical of the people that had arrived to visit her center. But my colleague 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗃 explained who we were, and she let us in to do a baseline assessment of her center. What we saw was all too familiar. A space within which Makulu was doing her utmost to care for her community's young children, but which was cramped and unsafe, with walls made of cardboard, dim light, poor ventilation, limited resources, and some glaring safety concerns. It was clear to us that of the 36 ECD centers we had visited in those 2 weeks, Makulu's was the most in need of an infrastructure upgrade. But given its location within the informal settlement, that presented its own challenges. When building a new ECD center, such as what we had in mind for Makulu's, we usually want to have building plans approved beforehand. But the current framework for planning approval makes it almost impossible for ECD centers in informal settlements to get approved building plans. Building without plans has a number of risks, and let me be clear, this presentation is not encouraging people to do it, but in this particular instance, we had to carefully consider the risk of building a new structure versus the risks of leaving the existing structure in place, and we made the decision to build. The new structure would be a double-story timber frame building, allowing Makulu to live upstairs and the ECD center to operate downstairs at the existing location. This would double the space available for both activities, and it would also maintain security of the property by having the building still occupied each night. We appointed an architect to design the building within the constraints of the site and a structural engineer who would sign off on the construction. The initial design was then carefully explained to Makulu on site so that she could understand what we proposed to build, and we could factor in her feedback into the final design. We needed the new structure to be well built within a short period, so we brought in a specialist contractor to do the bulk of the work. But we also were mindful to create opportunities for local labor wherever it was appropriate. And Makulu assisted arranging a team of local men to help with things like demolition, fencing, painting, and plastering. The time frame from initially meeting Makulu, discussing and planning the potential upgrade, to getting on site, it was long, And I'm not sure who was more excited, Makhulu or me, when the day finally arrived that we could start construction. We chose IBR sheets for the external cladding of the building with the intention of wanting to keep the structure visually consistent with the surrounding area. While we knew that the double story would stand out, we didn't want it to stick out like a sore thumb. We also wanted to pay homage to the fact that Makhulu had built her ECD center with the limited resources she had, and the original structure had its own unique beauty. So instead of just discarding all the old structure entirely, during demolition, we carefully salvaged whatever usable pieces we could find and incorporated those into the elements of the final building. Other parts of this upgrade that were carefully chosen include a low water usage toilet, which uses rainwater to provide safe and dignified sanitation, the use of solar power, the selection of standard, robust materials that will be relatively easy to maintain, and design simplicity that affect both the cost and the utility of the building. There are too many to mention them all, but the underlying principle was to consider each element and how it could contribute to creating a safe, secure, and inspiring space for Makhulu, her staff, and her children. A space that will support and encourage the improved quality of ECD provision at the center. And from our project post-assessments, I think it's safe to say we've achieved that here. We cannot ignore the massive need for good quality, safe ECD centers in informal settlements. We need to purposefully seek out opportunities to make ways for this to happen and to push for changes that support development in informal settlements. I hope that this presentation can get us all thinking and talking about each of our individual roles in realizing this. If you would like to delve into any of the details of the project, please feel free to come chat to me. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dorette Low, and I'm from Bookdash. I am presenting about a project called Read and Play at Home. It was done in partnership with some other organizations, some of which are here this afternoon, so I'm talking on behalf of all of us, and it was a project to really increase parent engagement. For those of you who don't know Bookdash, we're a social impact publisher of high-quality, open-license books for children under 5. Many of the organizations in this room already use our books in their programs. For us, it's really important to acknowledge the fact that owning books leads to more reading. We know this from research, international and local. And this can manifest in what we call the joy and pride effect, where parents really, really love reading with their children, and that leads to more reading, and that is therefore really important for us to understand how we can engage parents in reading. In this project that I'll be telling you about, we agreed that we would do this by holding meaningful parent workshops and providing them with take-home resources to support the implementation and the reading at home. The partners in this project are all the organizations that I've got their logos on. The funding partners were my school and the Do More Foundation. The original concept of the parent booklet came from Nectar. iTech developed the parent booklet. 3 Bookdash books were chosen. Lula Mapiko and Lima were the implementing partners. So every year, 3 different Bookdash books were selected. That was a really cool part of the project for us. The books were made available in all the languages of the project, and each parent attending the workshop would get a copy of each of the 3 books. Then they also got a parent booklet with activities for the home, and these activities were very practical, very easy to use, play ideas drawn from the books and reading ideas drawn from the books. These booklets were given to parents in the 3 geographies of the project, which spanned KwaZulu, the Western Cape, and Mpumalanga, and there were 4 project languages, and the booklets and the books were all available in the languages of the project. The implementing partners trained the practitioners to run the workshops with the parents. And that was interesting because practitioners are not usually, it's not part of their skill set necessarily to have training workshops and engagements with the parents in that way. So for them, they acquired new skills. The practitioners then run the parent workshops with the take-home resources as the basis. The take-home resources are the booklets and the 3 book dash titles. At our stand at the back, you can see examples of these booklets and the books that they were based on. So the concept originated with Nectar in 2021 as part of the KZN flood relief. The concept of having a very practical, easy-to-use booklet for parents to support them in their reading and literacy practices at home. Nectar then, the funding partner was my school. Since 2022, they funded the printing and distribution of the book dash book, so they funded that part of the project. And they've been very loyal. Unfortunately, their funding has now ended, and so the 𝗤𝗂𝗏𝗯𝗏 Foundation came on board for the 2025 project as funder. Book dash, we publish age-appropriate books in home languages, so our contribution to the project was to identify a short list of titles that could be considered for exploration and to have them available in the languages of the project. The parent booklets were then commissioned by the 𝗤𝗂𝗏 Foundation, and they were commissioned to iTech to develop them. Barbara Valentine did a fantastic job of creating such wonderful practical guidelines and activities. And then Book Dash translated the booklets into the project languages. Lula Mapiko in KZN and Lima in Worcester and Nkomazi implemented the project, and in this context it means that they trained the ECD practitioners on how to run the parent workshops, and they provided support and also tracked some of the M&E data that was required. So the reach, since 2022, 12,000 parents and caregivers have attended these workshops. That is a significant reach. It means that in most cases it's 12,000 distinct households that have each now got really appropriate materials in terms of reading books and parent guidance. And I think lots of feedback, but Nomfundo at the bottom says that she never gave her child time, but now she understands that giving time and love is what is most important, and she undertakes to do that as a basis of the parenting workshop. So the partnership, and this phrasing I took from a newsletter from the 𝗤𝗏𝗏 Foundation. It's an approach which can be scaled because it combines expert publishing skills with early learning expertise and trust-based regional implementation. If you'd like to find out
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Peter. I'm the ECD Connect project manager. And ECD Connect is a project incubated out of DGMT. And what is it? It's an app to run an ECD center. And one of the things I'm hoping to accomplish today is if you know someone who could benefit, let them know about the app. All right. We know ECD principals have a lot on their plate. They have a lot to do. So what are some of the things that they might be doing? Registering children, running the classroom, managing a business, dealing with parents. It's enough to give you a headache. So how can we help? How can we help these tasks being carried out well? Ooh, who's this? Hi, Sabisa. So this is Sabisa, our mascot. And I wonder if Sabisa's got a message for us. Oh, this is the right place at the right time. And so this gives a sense of the playful and user-centric design that we have in the app. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so what you'll see in the app is it's got 4 main modules: classroom, training, community, and business. And it's a very simple, easy-to-use design. Give it a moment. Okay, how exactly does it help? Well, it's mainly trying to embed quality routines or give a ladder that allows people to acquire the sort of knowledge of a quality routine and reinforce it over time. So like I said, it's a tool to help manage your classroom, manage your business. In classroom, you can take attendance, you can do learner observations. Important things about the app, some basic tech stuff. It's what's called a progressive web app, so it works on any platform, Android, iOS, you name it. It installs as a shortcut. It doesn't use very much data, which is obviously super helpful. It's aimed at quintiles 1 to 3, but it can be used by anyone. And it links really well to WhatsApp for sharing. And that's really a key thing around communication today.
As a committee member or as a board member of this particular ECD, you will be able to trace the progress of the school, the finances of the school, how many kids are at school today, what programs have been presented today, and we could pick up and we could actually advance our kids, in particular our previously disadvantaged communities. We can take a lot from this.
So that was from a roadshow in Uppington early in April. Okay, so it's already been mentioned quite a lot in this conference. Recently, the Thrive by 5 data came out, and so we have a clear idea of the data of what we're aiming at. And I found that there were some images in that report that were very helpful in understanding what are the skills we're trying to build to improve quality. And so then the question is, how do we go out and do our bit by helping create these routines every day? So what does high quality routine look like in an ECD? So at the most basic level, who's coming to your ECD, and are you keeping track of it? How often are they present? If they're away for long periods of time, why is that? Are you keeping track of that? The other thing is, what are we doing? Are the activities accessible? Do they make sense? Are they developmentally appropriate? And are they easy to access? In terms of the business module, what are the admin processes that go into running a high-quality ECD center? Well, on a basic level, are you keeping track of what you're spending your money on? Are you keeping track of income? Can you verify to a funder? Can you show evidence of what's going on? And also, are you tracking your staff? What's staff turnover like? When do they go on leave? One of the things that comes through is the need to track turnover in the space. And then what I really love about the app is how all this data is going into the app, but then you can pull out the data as reports and summaries. So that's a PDF of a learner observation report. It can be sent on WhatsApp to parents. And then we have financial statements. Well, financial statements is a strong word, but income and expenses, right? So it's a record that you can then share with people to give credibility to your ECD center. Now, the ECD Connect app is the open to the public version of this, but there's also what's called ECD Connect Partner, where organizations can create their own white label version, and you get your own content and user management portal. That's the Ntataise version. And yeah, so there's different variations of ECD Connect. So the publicly available version launched in April, and we were doing a couple of roadshows. We went around the country, and so far, we have 1,400 signups and 1,200 children on the platform. And we're getting data every day about what's going on in ECDs in the country on a user level. But obviously, data by itself isn't enough. So how are we using that data? So we constantly improve the app. Every week at our weekly meetings, we talk about what can we do differently. In terms of our partners, we want to help them identify trouble spots early. And so the question is, how can they act early? And then the longer-term goal is to help funders and policymakers make better decisions based on real-time data. So these are some of our partnerships so far, but part of the reason we're here is to make connections, talk to people, see where we can collaborate. We made a couple already this morning, but we need you. We need you to come and talk to us. There's a big ecosystem in the room, and we can all do our bit. But we're open to conversation. We're in the back over there. And so, yeah, please come and say hi. We have some fun competitions going on, and it will be lovely to talk to you. Bye.
Khawuleza mama, Khawuleza mama, Khawuleza mama.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marion. I'm from Breadline Africa. I'm here to tell you a little bit about Breadline Africa, and also to tell you that the pit toilet that you see over there should not be there. In fact, the pit toilet should not be anywhere in South Africa. Wow, I'm ahead of my slides. Look at that. So Breadline Africa, we're old. We've been here 32 years, and our focus is on educational infrastructure, and that includes the replacement of unsafe toilets, whether it's pit toilets or bucket toilets. So we have impacted a lot of beneficiaries. Our aim is to do more than 1 million on the pit toilets. The reality is quite sad. As I say, that pit toilet shouldn't be anywhere, but yet 3,000 schools in South Africa are still using them despite what the government is saying. And at least 17,000 ECDs, if 45% do not have running water and 40% don't have safe sanitation, we know that pit toilets are still everywhere. So ECD centers are not connected to sewage. Doesn't mean that they can still or should still be using this. This is not safe. Would you let your child or be happy with your child using one of these toilets? So the reality is that there are still children dying in the toilets, and the change that we are doing is showing significant impact, and it's not surprising. What you see on the left is pre-intervention and post-intervention, where we're improving safety, dignity, privacy, hand washing, attendance. Where the schools aren't 100% is because their schools don't have money for soap. But it's not really just the sanitation, it's the fear. Children are terrified of using anything that is dark and scary, and as you'll see in our pit toilet over there, it has a selection of snakes and everything else in it. That is the reality. A child should be able to learn without fear. Dignity equates to better attendance as well, and safer environments also mean that there are fewer risks for children. The infrastructure is part of the nurture and care framework that we see. It is so important that the child is able to learn in an environment they feel safe. So far, we've closed 800 pit toilets at schools, and we are providing hygienic toilets, and we want to impact this at primary school, at secondary school, and really importantly at ECD, particularly for grade R's at primary school. That is where we have seen the deaths. Some of the images of before and after, some of them actually at CECD. So you can see from going from unsafe pits where holes in the ground, which are more than 20 centimeters, that is the limit. You should not have anything bigger, to these bucket systems below, which often don't get emptied or get tossed out into the streets. Children can fall into this. The structures are very unsafe. And we have a standard model where we use the concrete structures with doors that allow the light to come in, and a safe environment that restores dignity and hygiene. That was our very first launch that we did in KZN at a primary school. The government had implemented the one behind, but unfortunately did not put in a septic tank, so those toilets were not very usable. So the toilets that we put in, low flush, less than 2 liters, saves a lot of money in terms of water and delivers a hygienic solution. Doors that let light in that cannot be locked from the inside. And it really is about shaping the future of South Africa's children. My timing is out. And as I said, pit toilets, they shouldn't be anywhere. And this little video, just as a reminder, we need to get rid of them.
Follow me. Let's go. Sometimes in the streets of Cape Town, in the pit toilet, people are shocked. Or what they should be is shocked to see pit toilets anywhere in South Africa. Kids are drowning in poo and pee. An injustice that needs to end.
Thank you.
Khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama.
Good afternoon, everyone. In 2009, Michelle Davids started her ECD journey with only a shack and a dream. And she wanted to provide quality education in a community where she grew up in Delft. But she only had a small facility on a plot of land next to a municipal dumping ground. So running her ECD center was hard. I think, in fact, if she knew how hard it was to run an ECD center, she might not have started, which is the case for many. But today, she She runs a beautiful and registered ECD center, 105 learners, and 8 staff members. Just last year, she finally got fully registered, and she now receives the subsidy. And her learners are doing really well, thriving in a play-based and nurturing environment. So how is she doing it? Obviously with the support of an incredible ecosystem of partners, and at the heart of which is the 𝗂𝗹𝗶𝗃𝗏 app, her preschool in her pocket. So this is where she found the tools to support her on her journey to becoming more professional, from registration templates and tools to an incredible play-based multimedia curriculum for her teachers to implement, attendance and financial tracking, administration tools, and even professional development courses. Now, running an ECD center is a complex small business. I think center owners have to juggle people, place, program, process. That's why I often call them the CEOs. That's the Chief Everything Officers. Okay? And these Chief Everything Officers, these CEOs, they have a heart for children. And often they'll say, oh, they're struggling a little bit with the head for business. And that's where they want to develop and learn more. They tell us that they want practical management tools and practical training to run their preschools even more professionally. That's why 5 years ago, we launched the 𝗂𝗹𝗏𝗃𝗏 app as our gift to the ECD sector. It contains tools and systems to help you run your preschool from the palm of your hand. And today, it is South Africa's most popular ECD management app. So it's not just one app either. There are multiple apps. Giraffe is the one for the meerkat. It's the one you would have seen in the corner with the tall neck, because the giraffe can see all over the savannah, right? Then you have meerkat for teachers and the lion app for parents. And at the back end, we have elephant. So if you're an organization like Grow ECD that works with multiple organizations, you can access the data there. It really is a one-stop shop. Administration tool, financial management tool, a DBE-approved curriculum, learner assessment tools, which are super helpful, as well as development reports for parents, data-free online training, parent communications, more than 450 free downloadable resources, and registration tools. And the best part, a multilingual help desk for when you just want to speak to a real human and not a robot. It really is, it's tech that works, because I think it has the people at heart, and we continue to develop it with the people who use the app daily. Now, who's using the app? Giraffe is for growing ECD businesses, centers with vision, passion, and ambition to want to be the best on the block, who want to provide 5-star education. On average, our users have 30 to 40 learners, but there are also centers with 50, 100, 200, and recently even 300 learners using the app. So usually you start off with the basics. Maybe you want to take learner attendance, download some resources that you need. Then you start managing your finances, even doing learner assessments. Eventually, you're managing multiple classrooms or even opening your second site, which is the case now recently for one of our center owners. Incidentally, Michelle plans on opening a second center soon. She has her sights set on Paro. So right now, over 4,900 people are using the app. 1,100 teachers have used the online curriculum. 130,000 resources already downloaded. 12,000 online courses completed. And beautifully, last year, over 4,000 learners were assessed by their teachers to see how they're doing in each of their developmental areas. Now that's real impact at scale, and it's free. And it's not just helping. I'm really running out of time. This is going much faster than I thought. It's not just helping us, it's also helping our ECD app partners who need, our sector stakeholders who want to manage their programs better and direct their resources more effectively. They have insights at their fingertips. So we invite you to look forward to next year when Giraffe 2.0 will launch. This new development will include a web-based application so that it works across every single device, including tablets and iPhones, much more robust financial management tools. So as the center grows from a very simple program to very complex, it scales with them, nudges and coaching to help people develop and learn as they go, and even better analytics for our partners. We're ready to serve you and your centers, so please let's connect, and together I'm sure we can grow.
Khawuleza mama,
Good afternoon. I'm Margaret Litswalo, founder and project director of Golang-Kulani Learning Center. The purpose of my presentation is Center of Excellence using high scope approach, supported by ACI. This is our vision and mission, which is to provide quality ECD. It was registered in 2000 as a non-profit organization, ECD training organization accredited with 𝗬𝗏𝗋𝗃 for skills and level 4 qualification. These are the GK services and support programs. Yeah, you'll get them in the website. But what I can say is we have the ECD Model Center, we have the non-center based and other programs. High scope is a way of working with children based on the belief that children learn best from activities which they plan and carry out themselves and then reflect upon their experience. The unique plan-do-review process, this approach underpinned by research which is internationally accredited, high-scope preschool, longitudinally study indicates that children who had high-scope experience developed life skills and positive attitude to education and society, which enable them to improve quality of their lives. This is the high-scope wheel, and this is the key experiences aligned with the elders. This is the GK infrastructure and ECD Model Center. The GK infrastructure was built from the 𝗵𝗶𝗶 job creation project.
Ada juri apa? Tulisan untuk orang dapat cuburi. Orang kaji benci. Orang kaji benci. Orang cari orang zaman. Liseni. Liseni baik. Okey. Orang apa tadi? Apa itu? Ujian.
This is the ECD. The ECD Center of Excellence before and after our intervention. Support programs where they have saving groups where most of the practitioners build the infrastructure for themselves from these savings groups. This is the GK staff, volunteers, and board members. This is the awards that we received in 2010, 𝗘𝗿𝗃 Special Award for Community Development, APSA Provincial Award, Mbane District Municipality Excellence Award for Best Performing NPO in the district. This is our current donors and partners. Challenges: overcrowding of children, distance for site visits, lack of effective collaboration amongst ECD stakeholders. And then the website is there. You can be updated with from the website.
𝗂𝗹𝗶𝗁𝗍𝗃
Molweni, Khawulezani, Sivulithuba. From level 4 to a diploma in ECCE, Bridging Barriers to Success by 𝗁𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗿𝗵𝗆 and Rebecca Wakeford. From 3 and Midlands College. Who believes that passionate ECD practitioners deserve meaningful opportunities to pursue further studies and professional growth? What if we told you that 50 of those passionate ECD practitioners, once limited to level 4, are now enrolled at UNISA. UNISA! Stand up, UNISA! And are funded by Tutua. Tutua, stand up! The problem, level 4 ECD practitioners with passion and experience, limited computer skills. Okay. Collaboration, solution, and partnership. Collaboration between 3 and Midlands College equals to Sivulithuba, partnered with UNISA, and funded by Tutua.
So meet our heroes. Our heroes are ECD practitioners, 50 of them, based throughout KZN, rural and urban areas. For them, the dream of university was always a long-distance goal. They're passionate ECD practitioners who want to study further and commit to the sector that they work in. Our Sivulithuba solution is a bridging program. The objective of the bridging program is to gain access into higher education through the development of digital skills and academic literacy, but more importantly, to support the retention of students once they gain their place in higher education. We developed a program that used technology and facilitated guidance to develop e-learning readiness in those ECD practitioners through a blended approach of face-to-face learning, using a learner management system and contextually relevant resources. Sivulithuba, we set up a learner management system that would replicate the experience that the learners were going to have at UNISA. This was critical for building their confidence as online distance learners. They did their assignments on the learner management system, they submitted their assignments electronically, and all the content was on the system. Over 8 months, we saw students grow and confidence. They moved from being traditional learners in a facilitated ECD classroom for level 4 to competent online digital learners. We saw their confidence build, their academic development skills built. They developed knowledge, deeper knowledge around ECD practice, but more importantly, they gained digital proficiency across multiple devices. At the end of our 8-month program, the students were university ready. UNISA was phenomenal. They supported the students in their online applications. They supported them with the submission of documents. They ran online sessions directly with the students to mitigate any fears the students were having. At the end of the last year, we concluded the bridging program. We had 50 start and 50 finish. 50 students enrolled in UNISA. They received offers. And the challenge we faced is we understood that NSFAS funding was not available to the students. So thanks to Tutua Foundation, the students received bursaries for their 3 years at UNISA. Critical to
You go to Tutua through me.
Critical to the project is retention. We know that distance learning is an isolated space where students can often feel alone. So supporting them with mentoring and coaching over their 3-year duration at UNISA is critical to supporting their success. The secret sauce of this is that it's a collaboration. It's a collaboration between RTOs and UNISA as a higher education institution. It provided guided e-learning with contextually relevant resources.
The triple effect, the diploma in ECC is transforming South Africa's path to fourth sector, professionalizing educators, deepening expertise, and raising the standard of care for our young learners through the vision, NQF accreditation pathways, part qualification credit bearing, government partnerships as a response to the wider ECD workshop development needs, training of trainers model with other RTOs adaptable for capacity building to access other than qualification and policy implications.
Policy implications is that no quality practitioner should be locked out of further learning by traditional barriers. So experience and support equals success. Level 4 and a program such like Sivulithuba can support access and retention.
Call to action, ECD 2030 strategy, Thrive by 5 report, Banapili blueprint. What if this was available everywhere? Model is scalable, RTOs can be trained to deliver. Call on higher education institutions to work alongside RTOs. Khawuleza, join us in Sivulithuba.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kathy Gush. I'm from the Lebone Centre in Makanda. In case you don't know, that's Grahamstown in the Eastern Cape. And it's called Step by Step on the ECD ladder because we build the ladder, we build the house with a continuum of support for children from 0 to 9 years old. So there you can see the house. We start with emergent and early language support through a focus on the first 1,000 days, then on the next 1,000 days, moving into the foundation phase with literacy support, which is largely school-based, and then also after-school support. So our first program is #EveryBabyMatters, focusing on the first 1,000 days, clinic activations at local health clinics, focusing a lot on the dangers of fetal alcohol syndrome, but also the importance of early stimulation, and then home visits, more in-depth home visits to moms. There you can see one of our babies already engaging with a book and a very, very nice sensory mat that we give the babies that made by a local women's cooperative, and our facilitators talking at the clinics with the handouts that they give. So she's talking about the different sizes in the brain. Then we have Next Step Baby, which is literally the next step, because after Every Baby Matters, the mom's like, okay, we're into this now, so what now? So that's targeted at moms and tots, 2 to 3-year-olds. We have a playmat project trained by Dlalanati. We have a coffee club, which is around mental health support for mums and making toys out of recyclable goods. So there's using the matchsticks, making a pattern on a styrofoam tray, and she's using an old yogurt container with holes in to put bottle tops in. So we very much encourage the moms to do that with their children. Then we have an on-site preschool, which is a center of excellence called the Little Red Dragon. 28 children. It's multilingual because we very much believe in the importance of children learning in their home language alongside English. A focus on learning through play, and then also Makulu book sharing workshops for parents. On the left, you can't see so well, but the chair and everything else there is labeled in either English and Afrikaans or English and isiXhosa. They've got Book Dash books there in the middle. Thank you, Book Dash. On World Book Day, they're doing fine motor skills, and they're doing the important outdoor play also with water and sand. Then we reach out from our center to other centers. We do Little Stars training. Last year we trained 36 practitioners in partnership with WordWorks. We followed this up now with more in-depth work with 15 practitioners through classroom visits and what we call peer learning circles. And we are doing book nooks for 5 ECD centers. There's our book nook with books, colorful books in all the different languages. And there's one of our Little Stars trained practitioners doing a demonstration lesson. I thought I was talking fast enough, and now it's... Okay, next, grade R. Grade R support, we call it Leaping into Literacy. It's a partnership with Rhodes University Education Department. 72 of their third-year B.Ed students have been interacting with 2 classrooms at a no-fee-paying school, focusing mainly on letter sound knowledge and also on gross and fine motor skills. There you can see the children literally jumping and on the letter S and the sound, doing the sound of S while they are physically jumping it, and then some indoor work with fine motor skills and further letter sound knowledge, which are some of the critical areas in grade R for school readiness. Our foundation phase support is next, 5 no-fee-paying schools, grade 1 to 3 learners. Grade 1, Project Read, which is Ready, Steady, Read and Write, time materials from WordWorks. Grade 2, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 reading clubs, and then classroom libraries. We really believe in the access. Children must have direct access to classroom libraries. There's some of our volunteers on Project Read. That's Cameron McConaughey from the Legal Resources Centre. We have a wide range of volunteers working with 2 children at a time for an hour a week or 2. And then in the left-hand corner, there's a 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 reading club busy with the newspaper supplements. And I know 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 are here too. Then our after-school support is for 75 learners from grade R to 3 on site at our centre, focusing on literacy, numeracy and life skills. And one of the life skills, I know we've used the protective behaviours before to share with the children. So that's bringing in children from no-fee-paying schools in our area. We have the Kingswood children coming in once a week, the Interact Club doing games with the kids, Lego 6 bricks, we've done a lot with the Lego 6 bricks, and a special reading corner because we really always focus very strongly on literacy development. And then coming up, last but not least, our family literacy project funded by DGMT. We started with 200 families in 2020, in the year of COVID. We moved on to a more in-depth process with 50 families in 23-24 in 3 particular communities where we did home visits and we shared books and literacy resources and supported the parents to start this whole reading culture in the home. You can see that very nice intergenerational group there in one of the homes. And some of the resources we gave were blackboards with chalk, because the children love to play school and to write. There's a magazine for the older generation, and there are books for the children as well. So that's the roof.
Khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, 𝗱𝗵𝗹𝗶𝗏𝗏.
Okay, I felt that I needed to run up the stairs. Okay, hi everyone, my name is Chantal Fernandez and I am the foundation publisher at Maskew Learning. And currently I am knee-deep, eyeballs deep in creating an ECD program, a holistic ECD program called 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏. So today I want to speak about the senses and play. So when we talk about the senses, we have to start with the central nervous system. Why? Because this is where all higher thinking and mental processes happen, such as memory, decision-making, all of those things. What is the role of the senses? The senses will help us to learn, to navigate. It keeps us safe. It tells us about danger. It alerts us. It's about survival, and it is about protection. The central nervous system then takes that information from the senses and create perception. So through our visual perception, our eyes, our ears, our touch, all of those, we then develop, our brain then processes this information and it makes sense of the information that it is fed. What's the difference between sensation and perception? Basically, sensation is your first port of call, and then perception is making sense of that information through the senses, right? So first of all, sensation is recognizing a red light, but when we have perception, we know, okay, well, this red light means this, and I need to do the following. So 5,000 years ago, when I was born, everyone thought that learning begins once we're at school, but now we know learning begins before birth. As soon as 3 months, our sense of smell is developed, right? And often babies play in the womb because that is how they learn. They start recognizing their mother's voices. They start responding to their voices. They respond when mommy is eating something sweet. So they're playing in the womb and they're learning already in the womb. Right, so as we all know, we've got different areas of development, right? We have physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and language development. Those are the areas that we want to develop within a child, okay? And how do we do that? We do that through the senses, through play. So, when we are born with approximately 100 billion neurons, right? I probably have 1.5 of those neurons left today, but during that period before birth and up till 6 years old, 2 years old, that's the most important part. So we need to get the senses and play involved as much as possible. And what should we have? It should be joyful, it should be actively involved, it should be iterative, meaningful, and socially interactive. Now at this time, I'm going to ask you to do something quickly for me for 1 second. I'm going to ask you to do this. Throw your hands up in the air. Fist bump the friend next to you, quickly, and then throw your hands up in the air again. Right, stop. Was that joyful? Yes, it was. Okay, it was fun because it was unexpected and you needed to throw your hands up in the air. Right, what does that say about learning? It means that it's fun to learn. I like learning because it's fun. Were you all actively involved? Yes, you were. Did any one of you think for that few seconds that I need to go cook biryani tonight at home? No, no one did because you were completely committed. It was holistic, right? Then iterative, and we know this. The more we repeat something, the better it's going to stay in the memory. It's going to stay there. So songs I learned as a child, Whitney Houston, I can still sing it, right? Because I had fun and I learned it and it was repeated. I sang it over and over again, right? And so do all of us. It needs to be meaningful. That means we started with what the child knows and we built on that. So we cannot start with something that is unknown to the child. We need to start with what is real to that child's world before we can move on. So in other words, the child knows this to be a horse, but then mommy says, no, that's actually not a horse, it's a cow. So now new vocabulary is built. And then it needs to be socially interactive because there comes communication, there comes social skills, there comes sharing, there comes waiting our turn, there comes emotional intelligence and empathy and all those good stuff. Right, so basically what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that it is important that we as parents and as ECD educators or any educationalists be aware of the fact that we need to provide sensory learning programs at home, and it doesn't have to be all, structured or fancy at home, but involve your child when you're busy in the kitchen, involve him in the garden, look for worms, and chat, sing, and dance while you're doing all of this, because that child is sucking in that information, and it's a whole lot of fun while he's doing it. So with that, I want to thank you.
Khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza.
So what if I told you that real crime prevention actually started in the classroom? I'm Roxanne Robbins, a child justice specialist, and I have worked in the child development field for over 15 years. I currently work for Play with a Purpose Educational Trust, and it is a neuroscience-based early child development program with over 35 years of experience in the field. We were the first ever educational institute to be ISO 9001. This is highest quality assurance standards that you can receive for training. We have also trained our program internationally and in Southern Africa on our social franchise model. But what if I told you that safer communities was not about policing, but it was actually about blocks and puzzles that you as parents and educators could use to shape our next generation through play? South Africa is in the grip of a violent epidemic. These are just some of our statistics. But it's not just a statistic. This is a child, a family shattered, a future stolen. These are just the cases that we know about. Our Children's Act recognizes ECD, but legislation for safety is fragmented at best. Even Thrive by 5 says that there's opportunity to integrate this into our national safety policies. In the first 5 years, empathy, impulse control, and reasoning take shape in our brain. The limbic brain is needed for regulation and calm. This is really important to access our prefrontal cortex, and it shapes our moral reasoning and thought. This is also important because toxic stress shapes the brain if it's disrupted, and it rewires children, sitting and leaving them on red alert. This makes it hard to learn. The result, we have higher aggression, lack of secure attachment, and higher crime rates. I worked in a juvenile prison, and none of the boys that I worked with there had ever attended a preschool. Is this a coincidence? It shows that preschool cuts violent crime by 70%. Play with a Purpose is prevention in action. By building empathy, focus, resilience through our neuroscience-based ECD program, our model directly addresses skills most linked to crime prevention. Our preschools are anchors of hope in both affluent and high-risk areas. Preschool educators are the first to notice and act on it, and I'm sure it's many of your ECD centers are like that too. With our educators being the protectors, they can spot high-risk things, they can reinforce emotional intelligence and empathy, teach self-control, and create healing spaces. This is in addition to your normal skills that they will be learning. We did a 2025 survey where it says that where ECD reduces crime, and it is loud and clear. Parents agree, saying that this keeps children off the streets and away from negative influences. On the ground, it's loud and clear. It says that we need more trauma training for our ECD staff. We need therapists and counselors interacting with schools, emotional training, and safe play areas and toys for children, and accessible, affordable resources. Every rand spent on preschool prevents more from being wasted in prisons and courts. James Heckman's research shows that ECD is 13.7 times higher than if you invest in other schooling areas, as seen. The financial case is clear. We have a second chance to save children, according to the Lancet. This is a window where we can reverse stress that is on children. We mitigate this through child protection policies, training, and neuro-informed play, and parent support. Our recommendations are that we need to write ECD into crime prevention strategies in South Africa. Preschools need to be part of community policing forums, and hotspots prioritized to implement ECDs in these areas. ECD is about safety, protection, and prevention. Every preschool we build, every teacher we equip, and every child we support is a safer step to our communities. If we truly want a safer South Africa, we must not start with a siren. We must start with a storybook, a safe place, and a supported caregiver. Thank you for your time. If you would like more information on this research, please let us know. Thank you.
Khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama.
Good afternoon. Well, there I am. I'm CD. The L is a D from Ntataise, Lowveld. I hail from the Lowveld of Mpumalanga. I brought the sunshine. Before, can you just a little bit before that starts? I just want to say I was inspired by the service level agreement that we signed with the department, the custodian of the child, the Department of Education, that reduced the funding from 17 rand to 9 rand. And I want us to be aware of our unsung hero, the playgroup, the Equalizer, where there is no ECD services at all. Down in the rural, we have these people. Thank you.
Ngihlangana nenkomazi elivini. Ntataise Lowveld. Umbaluli uMathunzi afunda njengomsebenzi ubamba umsebenzi kakhulu umsebenzi soze kufika kwisigaba sokuthi azame ukhiphe imali umsebenzi ukuthi kakhansini futhi
So right there, the play group is an equalizer. It is not just learning, but we are leveling the playing field, irrespective of one's socio-economic status or the geographical area. Play groups are there. So it is this brief window of opportunity that the panel has all been speaking about that we cannot afford to miss, because we know that early childhood gives one a short but powerful window to shape and nurture children in holistic age-appropriate stimulation. Playgroups equals sustainable development. Learning through play. Learning through play, great investment, no thrills, no fuss, just like that, playing. The big question would be then, can we not afford to invest in early childhood, in playgroups? No, early intervention is the answer, as it becomes progressively harder to fix problems later in life. We heard that just now. So this is a lifelong learning. What the children learn now, they are going to take into their future learning when they go to UNISA. The same concepts, the same life skills will be applicable when they write their PhD thesis. It starts now in those playgroups, our unsung heroes. So playgroups have given us, we, the children, a great start to life. There again, the parent. We spoke about the parent, the primary caregiver. Authentic access to quality education stems from igniting the spark in the child's first educator, the primary caregiver, Menet. We spoke about that. We used to play Mantlani. I don't know what you call it, play. That's where it is. We would not have done this without all our beautiful partners there. You can see them all. I'll not name them. Some are in this room. Sorry if you don't look smart, but to us, you are beautiful. Playgroup grants the daughter of a domestic worker a chance to become a doctor. The son of a mine worker, a head of the family, and the child of a farmer, the biggest exporter of fresh produce. And we have seen that where we come from in Mpumalanga. And maybe the gardener.
Put up your hands if you're a mother. Put up your hands if you're a father. Why are there so few fathers in this room, people? Put up your hands if you run an ECD. Keep your hands in the air if you employ a male ECD teacher. Why are there so few men teaching ECDs? Welcome, my name is Jonathan Hoffenberg and I'm from the Parent Center. And if I had to summarize my talk here, it's one, we have a problem with men in this country. But fathers play a vital role, and if we want more fathers involved in ECD, it actually involves speaking to women. So the Parent Center, 40 years old, based in Wynberg, came out of child welfare as an attempt to move away from statutory work and run capacity building. We have 3 programs, 1 pilot, PACES runs positive parenting skills program with parents. It does counseling. 60% of our counseling now is co-parenting. We run a fatherhood course only for men, only by men, and we've been doing that for the last 15 years. Then we have a parent-infant, which is a home visiting program, and it runs a team parenting in a number of schools. And then we have a family strengthening pilot, which is a pilot with DSD and Department of the Premier. But I'm really here today to talk about an intervention encouraging father involvement in ECDs. We had the great pleasure of partnering with the Center for Early Childhood Development in their 5 clusters of ECD to encourage father involvement. And we recognized that to do this, we needed to first work with the staff and the mothers as well as the fathers, because we argued that a buy-in and understanding from the staff and the mothers was critical. Because you'll often hear that people will talk about, oh, we wish fathers were here because they have such a positive value and they do this and they do that. But the thing that we found really important with working with fathers and working with mothers is when we talk about the negative effects of fathers not being involved. When I did this, I gave myself only 18 seconds per slide. And this is the thing that really drives home to a lot of fathers, because a lot of fathers will often go, I'm an ATM dad, or I don't have a job, it's better that I'm not involved in my child's life. And you need to actually say, this is the impact of you not being involved in your child's life. But more importantly, given the anger that a lot of women feel around their deadbeat fathers, you need to talk to them about why men need to be involved in the lives of children, because the impact is huge. So our workshops looked at the positive aspects of father involvement, but it also looked at the negative impacts of fathers not being involved, and we kept on bumping against the same binary challenge, the same narrative that is so indicative. And I really loved the presentation that was 2 before mine that was talking about play, schools, and the importance of violence. Women hold 2 narratives. 1, men are trash, linked to their own experiences, especially around gender-based violence. The other narrative is this yearning to have father involvement in their lives. And this is what we're seeing in our work, that fathers often feel shut out of parenting decisions and the daily care routine, especially in the early years of life, where it's a very mother-centered. And in all of the presentations here, I've seen dominantly pictures of mothers playing with their children. You know, the numbers tell a sobering story. There's an incredible document called The State of the South African Fathers that I urge all of you to read, because it talks about only 35% of South African children growing up with their biological fathers. But it talks about 73% of children growing up with adult men in their homes. So it's not just about encouraging fathers, it's about encouraging men to step up. Now, why do women not want dads involved? Well, they think that they can do it better, and often they can. They think there's competency concerns. They think it's going to put relationship on the strain. You know, they don't want to hand the baby to the father because, oh, you don't know what to do, let me come in. But what that sends as a message is you're not wanted in this space, right? For fathers, we need to be encouraging them to take the initiative, to step up, to develop your parenting knowledge, to communicate your commitment, whether you're a biological father, an uncle, a grandfather, a social father. What does this have to do with ECDs? You are at the forefront of this gender contestation. You need to recognize this binary view that women distrust men for good reasons, but they need fathers to be involved. You need to reflect on the challenges that stop fathers from engaging, encourage social father involvement, and take gender-based violence seriously. We're the Parent Center, that's where we are. We've worked with parents for over 40 years. Come and speak to us if you want help with dads. And next time I come next year, I want to see a lot more men. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is 𝗤𝗂𝗶𝗁𝗆𝗿𝗃. I'm an occupational therapist and a Ndinagona facilitator from 𝗁𝗵𝗋𝗄𝐻 Social Enterprise. And this is our presentation on inclusion of children with disabilities, challenges and possibilities of the Ndinagona ICANN stimulation program. So in the 1980s, the development of the first pediatric wheelchair by 𝗁𝗵𝗋𝗄𝐻 led to the creation of 𝗁𝗵𝗋𝗄𝐻 Social Enterprise. In 2011, the Gap for an Early Childhood Development Program, focusing on stimulating play and learning for children with disabilities, was filled by the Ndinagona ICANN stimulation program. So this presentation looks at the growth of the Ndinagona program over the years. Its initial inception focused on disability-only centers. The Gap 4 stimulation programs for children with disabilities was first identified during caregiver training with 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗹𝗆 parents, with a focus on increasing daily participation for children with disabilities. So the program evolved with the 2020 COVID pandemic, bringing remote training to focus on mainstream ECDs and increasing family support. It now has an on-site and a remote phase, which has increased parent involvement. Our impact team has conducted research on the Ndinagona program with the objective of exploring the growth of the program since its initial implementation in 2011 till now. This exploration was done through semi-structured interviews, written reflections, and post-training reflections with past and present Ndinagona facilitators. And these are multidisciplinary 𝗁𝗵𝗋𝗄𝐻 team members who have facilitated the training across South Africa. Because I'm telling myself. So the results. The results of the research show an increase in teacher competence, the creation of more inclusive environments in formal institutions, improved children's play opportunities, as well as enhanced community engagement. There's a video, sorry. I think I'm speaking too fast.
And then we're going to give a booty. He's going to eat my name. Look, Mama. This is for Mama. Yes. Is Mama? This is for Papa. Mama's going to wear a hat. Look, a hat. Take. Right. Look. Mama's hat. Right. Look at Mama's hat.
Noteworthy successes of the program include being awarded a second prize for the APSA South African ECD Award for Training and Innovation, the expansion of the program both locally and internationally, with the pilot of the Ndinagona program in the US in 2023, and most importantly, the perception shifts.
sibalele ithwayizi nazi ne? Uyazibala ne? Okay. So ngizathatha ikhala efana nale plate yini? Phinde ndibeke uyellow. Thathe ubhulu ubeke apha kule plate. Thathe ured ubeke kule plate ne? So njengoba ezikhala zilapha. Cela uzibeka apha wena uzothathela ikhala ezifana. Bese njani le plate yalo?
As well as stimulation activities for children with disabilities, largely remaining as center-based. Future recommendations for the Ndinagona program from its facilitators include developing videos or slides with selected activities for easy sharing within families for home use, continued multi-sectoral stakeholder collaboration, creating a central database for tracking child progress, as well as flexible and responsive facilitation to the needs of participants and their communities, and continued reflection, tracking, and reviewing of services and implementation. Thank you.
Khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama, khawuleza mama.
Molweni, igama lami ngu-Amanda Mbali ndivela kwa-CECD, and namhlanje I'll be speaking when research becomes a tool for justice. At CECD, okay, my nerves. At CECD, one of our key strategies we employ in our work is to actively attend and participate in ECD forums. This approach has not only allowed us to build strong and meaningful relationships with our forums, but it has also deepened our understanding of the real everyday challenges faced in the ECD sector. This ongoing engagement has become a powerful tool. It grounds our work in lived realities and serves as a guiding compass in how we collaborate with various spheres of government. By being so closely connected to the community, our interventions are more informed, responsive, and contextually relevant. Oopsie. Yes. And as a student, I've also become increasingly aware of the concerning trend within academia, where research often begins and ends with data collection. There's a tendency for researchers to enter communities, extract information, and leave without feedback or tangible contribution to the people who participated. I believe this is deeply problematic. Research should not only be about gathering knowledge, it should also serve the communities involved. It should also serve communities involved and contribute to change and be part of a broader cycle of learning, reflection, and action. And this is why I'm passionate about action research and the work that we do at CECD. It represents a more ethical, inclusive, and impactful model of research and engagement. In our unit, our community engagement is not just a strategy, it is a commitment. We are deeply invested in real lasting change. Our goal is not simply to collect data or extract information, but to work alongside communities to co-create solutions that are practical, relevant, and impactful. We understand the challenges on the ground because we are present, and that presence allows us to better serve, support, and influence change in ways that truly matter. Whether the outcomes are good or not, we always go back to communities. We believe that communities deserve to be informed and included at every stage of the process. This transparency shows our respect for their contribution, and it reinforces our commitment with working with them, not in them. The need of the ECD sector are the compass that guides our work. They inform how we respond, how we act, and where we focus our efforts. Our interventions are not based on assumptions, but what the sector itself has identified as a pressing challenge. We do not just gather data, we listen, we learn, we act. The work we do demands real results, which is why we move with urgency and intention to find practical, impactful solutions. We operate from a place of purpose, and we are deeply solution-oriented. Every step we take is aimed at driving positive change, grounded in the real needs of those we serve. The importance of action-oriented research cannot be overstated. Simply knowing about the challenges faced by communities is not enough. Data collection should never be about only documenting injustices or storing information. It must lead to action. When we gather stories, struggles, and lived experiences, we are not doing so for the sake of just knowing, because ultimately, what's the point of knowing and learning and understanding these injustices if we do not act to resolve them? Research must go beyond observation. It must drive change. As a student within the academic space, I've observed how research is often conducted. I must say I find much of it deeply problematic. For decades, South Africa, or Africa rather, has been treated as a rich case study, largely due to our history of deep inequality and systemic injustice. Academics and researchers are drawn in these realities, using the struggles of ordinary people to earn degrees, publish papers, and advance in their careers. Yet, the very communities whose stories and sufferings fuel this academic success are left unchanged. Their conditions remain the same. In many cases, they are never informed about the outcomes of the research they participated in. This practice is not only extractive, it is immoral. It is unjust to use people's pain as a pathway for personal or professional gain without any intention of contributing to a real change. This must change. Research must be rooted in ethics and genuine commitment to improving the lives of those whose experiences we seek to understand. Bridging the divide between research and implementation in this sector requires a deliberate shift, both in mindset and actual practice. First and foremost, there must be a move towards action-oriented research that involves communities as active participants rather than subjects. This means conducting research with communities and not on them, ensuring their voices shape the process and the outcomes. To make research truly impactful, it must be translated into clear, practical recommendations. Academic language should be simplified into tools, guidelines, and training materials that can be easily used in real-world settings. Stronger relationships between academic institutions, NGOs, and ECDs can also help structure research with actual needs to ensure implementation is informed by evidence. Additionally, research should be ethically grounded in
Let's give another round of applause to our Khawuleza presenters. Well done, everyone. Sure, that is not an easy job, and you all maintained your composure. I would never have been able to do that. There is clearly a wealth of knowledge in this room, and thank you for sharing your work with us. Please, everyone, feel free to engage with the presenters individually afterwards. And I guess we have come to the end of our first day from a program perspective, and what a full and fulfilling day it has been. We do hope that it's been inspiring and engaging and really reaffirmed our shared commitment to advocating for young children in our country.